Okay. Show me.
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dutch channel for the build of this, the TFL-Racing Bronco 110 scale trail truck scaler crawler car. A very high quality kit, but in this video we'll see obviously how it goes together, but are there any hiccups? Is the fit and finish good? Are there parts missing? We'll find out in this video, so let's get cracking. Okay, now the build instructions actually don't start out with the chassis and the body shell, but let's have a look at that first anyway. This chassis is all welded up, tubular chassis, very nice, and on top of that you see a fiberglass body shell in 3 parts. When you receive the kit, the body is held on by 4 screws, I think, so just take those out and then you can simply lift the body off of the chassis. There you go, and yeah, it does have some kind of finish to it, a matte white finish, a base coat I'd say. I think you could run the car with this body shell in white. It does look good, but yeah, to personalize things it would of course be nice to paint that up, and that is what I will do. Next thing is the dashboard and the firewall, which was also held on with a couple of screws. I've already taken those out, and let's see, how does this come off? Oh, like so. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, the firewall and dashboard, which is also fiberglass, and the kit comes with a decal, a dial over here and a grey patch over here. Okay, and the manual says to paint this part up in black. I'm gonna do something different probably, but you'll see in the running videos. And we have a floor pan. Okay, so, and this is also fiberglass, and again the manual says to paint this up in black. I'm not sure yet. Probably, yeah, I'll probably paint at least part of it in black. Which leaves us with the metal chassis. And let's have a look. Shock towers over here. This over here is a mount for a winch. And that set actually sits behind the grill. So if you opt to install a winch, you won't see it. Yeah, and over here this is the mount for your steering servo. Okay, so, and we'll see how everything fits to this body in the rest of this video. Okay, let's first have a look how the manual helps us out in this build process. Is it detailed enough? And does it actually tell you what you need to know? Now, before we go into that, the kit doesn't come with tools. So you obviously need a cross wrench like this, or a bigger one. You need a couple of hex drivers, maybe a pair of pliers. You sure do need some thread lock, by the way, because you'll be screwing into metal with metal screws. And step 1 deals with these. As you can see, step 1, bag A. So that's nice, every step tells you what bags you need to open. Bag A contains these, the link rods. Nice, by the way, that the links, I'm not sure if that's visible, has a TFL logo, but also the length of that link. Step 1 tells you how to get these assembled, but the kit also already has them assembled for you. But the second nice thing about this manual is that these diagrams over here show the part in actual length. So if you take a rod and hold it up against the drawing or the picture, you can check if you've actually got the correct one. And as you can see, there are short and long rods, 4 of each. So that's nice, and yeah, the manual also shows you what screws to use, and again, these are true scale, so if you hold the screw up to that diagram, you can check if you actually have the right screw at hand. Okay, so much for the manual. Let's well, go to step 2 here. Alright, the manual first tells us to go and assemble this front axle. Well, the axle itself is already assembled, as you can see. We're first gonna screw these things, these metal things, up to the front of the axle, like so. And let me quickly do that. Obviously do use thread lock, because you will be screwing into metal. In some cases you'll be screwing into these self-locking nuts. In that case you don't need to use thread lock, but in most other cases in this kit you do need to use thread lock. And so please do, otherwise your car will fall apart on you. And there you go, we've got them steering knuckles, yeah, probably assembled up to the front of your axle. Next thing is to attach this crossbar, which will, let's have a look, will go through the front hole of these arms. And it'll go on the bottom of these arms as well. So, and let's see, we need one 18mm screw for the left side, cheeky day. And at the bottom you'll have one of them self-locking nuts. There. On the other side, however, you'll also attach the steering link, this one over here, and it looks like a hydraulic steering dampener. It doesn't dampen or anything, it's just adjustable, right? So that'll go, let's see, what way will it look best? It'll go on like so, and for that we need a 25mm screw. This one over here, which will first go through that dampener, then through this steering knuckle arm thing, then through this link, and lastly we'll attach a self-locking nut. And with that all said and done, things will now look like so. So we've got our steering link system set up. Next step is to attach the suspension links. So let's go and do that. First thing we need is 2 of the shorter links, and those will go onto the front axle over here. And obviously we need a screw, which will be the 30mm screw, this one, and that'll thread through these holes over here, and in between you'll attach these links. And at the end you apply a self-locking nut. So again, no thread lock needed here. Making things look like this. Now, so far everything goes together well. However, this screw is a little long, as you can see. I'm not really a fan of that. I didn't use the incorrect screw. It's a little long. No biggie, but it could have been a little shorter. Next we'll go and add links over here and the shocks. And these are the longer of the 2 links, by the way. Now this kit comes with the shocks fully assembled, but you do need to add oil, and if you are unsure of how to do that, I have a link to a video on how to fill your shocks up properly up here. Okay, and we'll also need two 25mm screws and again 2 self-locking nuts. So again, no thread lock needed. And a minute later things look like so. And as you can see, the shock goes to the outside. And again, this is the longer of the link types, and those go onto the inside. It was pretty impossible, by the way, to get the cross wrench in here to reach that lock nut. So I used a pair of pliers to hold on to that nut. Okay, no problem at all. So far everything fits together nicely, and we'll go and do mostly the same for the back axle now. Alright, the back axle, and mostly the same procedure, minus the steering links of course. At the top over here we will attach the shorter of the 2 link types, held on with a single screw going through the top. So let's go and do that. And again, you cap it off with a self-locking nut, which means you don't need to use thread lock. In fact, some of these self-locking nuts, they have a bit of nylon in them, right? They don't really like thread lock. Next up, again, just like on the front axle, is the shocks and the longer suspension arms. The shocks, by the way, are identical front to back, so you have 4 identical shocks in this kit. Okie, and the shocks will go on the outside over here and the links on the inside. After which we are left with 2 build-up axles with suspension links. Very nice, and so far so good, everything fits. No spare screws as well, by the way. I do like to see that in kits, some spare screws, some extra screws in case you mess things up or something. But well, in this case so far exactly the right amount of screws. So let's have a look at the transmission for this car. Okay, here's the transmission case combined with a motor mount over here. A motor can be attached like so, and as this is a kit, it does not come with any electronics, so no motor, you'll have to provide your own, and this is a 45 turns RC four-wheel drive motor, brand new. So I'll go and install that. The kit does come with a metal pinion gear and a little grub screw to secure that down. Obviously apply thread lock to that. And there we go, we have one transmission / motor mount with a motor, and this transmission has an adjustable slipper clutch. You can adjust that with this lock nut over here. Pretty easy to get to, by the way, so that's nice. And I've also gone ahead and attached this bracket over here, this metal U bracket, which will support the engine cover like so. And do I have a wire in the way? Yeah, I have to tuck in a wire. Okay, so but this will go on top over here, and it's not really necessary, by the way. You could leave it off. It's attached with 2 screws. As you can see, it has 2 screw holes, and that's it. In my case, I'll have to bend down this wire. No biggie, really. Should I have rotated the motor? No, it would have led to the same problem. So again, I'll have to bend this wire down a little, and then it will slip into place. And there is our lovely tubular chassis again. What we'll do next is we'll install the transmission and motor into the frame. The manual actually tells us to now install the interior and body shell. Well, at least the interior. Yeah, the interior. I'm not going to do that because I first want to paint it up. So that transmission and motor will live here, over here, like so. Yes, and you see these two holes over here in the shock mounts, and on the inside of those two holes you will attach these spacer blocks. Pretty hard to see, probably one on either side, and those are identical and symmetrical, so no way to mount them the wrong way, and they'll be held in with 4 screws, 2 on either side, of course. So let me go and do that, and that looks like this. So it's nice to see that the motor is actually in a realistic position, and this also helps for the CG to weigh down the front of the car, so that's good. The interesting thing to see here is that the motor and the motor mount are at an angle. It tilts up to the front over here. I'm not sure if that's really visible in the video for you, but I guess the main purpose of that is to have the drive axle that protrudes out of the transfer case, or the gearbox I should say, sorry, is directed towards that transfer case that'll sit in the middle of the car. Speaking of, we'll now go and install that transfer case and the skid plate. And here is that central transfer case. One input shaft thing over here and an output over here and over here, which will run axles to the axles. What? Drive axles to the axles. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is install this input shaft and the 2 output shafts. And let's see, yeah, the output shafts have one side that is stationary, this side, and the other one is a harmonica kind of deal, right? And this part goes to the outside, so like so. And the same way for the other one, let's see, like so. And I don't think there's much of a difference for this one. These axles, they look as if they have grub screws, but they have actually pins that run through them. And as you can see, these parts over here, the input shafts, have a hole for those. And let's see, yeah, you do need to apply thread lock there, and that's basically it. So let's go and get those screwed on. There you go, looks like a transfer case to me. And we'll now go and install that onto the central skid plate, which is aluminium. I think it feels pretty light, so I guess it's aluminium. This one has 4 screw holes, and those correspond with these 4 holes over here. So that's pretty straightforward. We'll go and install that now. Which is actually where the shit hits the fan. Yes, missing screws. These 4 screws are countersunk screws, as you can see. 2 8mm and 2 12mm. Yes. And those were missing. Ooh. Yeah, so again, it's handy to add some spare screws in kits like these, like I said. I had these screws, otherwise you'll have to run out to a hardware store and get yourself a couple of screws. Yes, okay, the first little mishap in the build here. Alright, and at this point we'll go and install that center skid plate with the transfer case attached to it to the frame, and it'll sit like so in between the frame plates, held in with 2 screws, and we'll also attach that drive shaft to the gearbox up front over here. Pretty simple, so I'll go and do that. And yes, those 4 screws are in the kit. Thank you very much. Alright, so this is where we are at right now. Now you might have expected to have to use 4 screws over here, but these screw holes are to hold on swing arms. So we'll get to that once we attach the axles to our frame. Let's now add a servo to our car. Alright, at the front over here we have ourselves a servo mount, and the servo will be mounted upside down like so, with the arm positioned to the left side of the car. So here is the spindle for the arm, and it'll go in like so. And obviously the kit comes with 4 screws to secure it down. Our car has a steering servo, and I first showed you a black servo, which was a high-tech servo. I reconsidered, and now it's a Traxxas 2075 servo. And I'm not sure if that servo is gonna be strong enough. We'll just see. I probably will just try the car with this servo. It's not a super strong servo, but it is waterproof, so that's nice. Now the manual tells us to mount our receiver on top of the servo over here, which is possible, of course. I'm not sure if I'm really gonna do that though. I could mount it on the bottom side of the hood. Yeah, or maybe where the winch would be, because I'm not going to be installing a winch. We'll see, there are a few possibilities, and yeah, but first we're gonna install our axles, so here we go. Alright, as you can see, I've already gone ahead and mounted the rear axle here, and that was pretty straightforward really. As you can see, the suspension linkages all tie into this center skid plate over here, and the only 2 places you need to use Loctite is on these 2 screws holding on these bars over here. The rest are tied in with self-locking nuts again, so that's pretty simple. And obviously the shocks here tie in to the frame itself. You've got some options over here. As you can hopefully see, you've got 3 mounting points for the shocks if you want to lay them down slightly. So you've got that tuning option. Other than that, there aren't tuning options here other than the shock oil you use. And obviously you can change the preload on the springs themselves. So I do have one tip though, and let's have a look at the front axle for that. What I've done here, and I know this will look a little cluttered in screen, I've already attached half of the shaft connecting the front axle to the center transmission case, if you will. And my thinking was that it would be easy to then slide the things together, freeing up one hand. It's actually pretty hard to line them up this way with all them linkages on the axle. So yeah, as you can see, I got a bit lucky there. I've now got them lined up and they slide into each other, so yeah, I'm done here. But this really isn't the way to go. It's far better to leave this axle attached as one piece, connect up the links and then connect it to the axle. So that's what I'll do right now. I'll hook up the links and the shocks, and we'll have a look at what that looks like then. And there you go, our car has a front axle now, and I've also got the steering linkage set up. That seems to work. This bar over here does run into the servo arm. Well, that's basically at full deflection of the of the shocks, so I'm not really worried about that. It's not a high-speed car, so I can't really see that axle being fully deflected anyway. Let's see, the axles by the way also have these screw holes over here. I'm not sure what those could be for. Skid plates maybe. There are some extra screw holes over here as well. Again, maybe for a skid plate. I'll actually have a look at the TFL webpage to see if there are any upgrades to these axles. Skid plate, yeah, maybe. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is attach some wheels to our car, and then it should really start to look like a car. So let's go and do that. Hard cheeky day, we have something that looks like a car for sure. Very high-tech kinda, or bare bones. Actually you could of course run the car with just the firewall in and the bottom plate and some seats, but I will also add the body shell of course. Now that's something for a next video. I'll be painting up the body shell and the interior pieces, and again that's something for the next video. And the wheels come with these hubcaps, metal hubcaps. And that does look very sophisticated for sure, but if you want to go for a more grungy look like I have here at the moment, you can leave them off. So that's nice. And one thing I was really looking forward to testing is, does this car have bump steer? And I'm very happy to say that this car has no bump steer at all. So that is very nice. I'm very happy to see that. And that kind of concludes this build. Let's see, build recap. Yeah, I had 4 screws that were missing. Other than that, I didn't run into problems at all. Everything fits together nicely. The screws are of good quality. They aren't too soft. However, the screws that will mount the body to the chassis are a bit thinner, so you do need to watch what you're doing when you screw those in. Don't over torque those, and you wouldn't want to because you might crack the paint as well, so yeah, be a bit careful with those. And let's see, yeah, again, no issues so far. So I'll be painting up the body now, and I hope that video will air this week. It's a bit more work of course, and after that we'll go and run this car. For now, thank you very much for watching. Hope it was entertaining and or informative for you, and hope to catch you on the next video. Bye bye.